Welcome to the Roundtable. I am Jennifer Eller, and with me today is our co-host Mike Hill, and we have Cale and Paige Dyson with us.
Yay!
Welcome.
Well, thank you, guys.
How long have you been moved back? I just thought about that walking in here.
Early September.
Okay, yeah.
So 3 months.
Yep. Lived in Noblesville for a year and decided to move back closer to friends and family.
Yeah, I was trying to think of when we were out there because, like, you've been coming for a while and, like, involved and good. Then you're like, oh, crap, they're moving. You know, you always love to have great young couples,
Yeah.
you know, to be around and be in the church and to be able to hang out with. But, yeah, then, because it was a short time then that you guys took off after, because you were moved out to Idaho, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then after you guys got married, did you go right to Noblesville from there?
Well, go ahead.
So I moved to Idaho right after college. I, went through an internship and a trainee program, and they said, "Where do you want to live?" And I said, "Well, anywhere but my hometown." So I get thrown all the way out in Idaho. And
How
Paige-
good is Idaho, though? Is it bad? Is it
It's
good?
incredible.
It's
yeah.
beautiful out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
I mean,
never been.
he was in the middle of nowhere, but we loved it.
Yeah, I mean, it was beautiful, and in 2020, there's no better place to be than out west and be out in nature when there's not a whole lot else going on.
So let's start there. What do you guys love to do? Are you outdoors people? Are you, like, do you watch movies? Do you read books? Like, what's something, I mean, you both work out, like, we can see that part.
Yeah, we both like to work out.
I do not, and you
No,
do a little
I'm
bit.
saying there's Jennifer and I and Nick. Although Nick was on the elliptical this morning. So
Good job, Nick.
yeah. There's us and then there's you guys. There's a whole different level.
Yeah, so, we like to work out. We have our own gym at our house.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Is
we
it
just
like
built
a CrossFit gym type
It's really
thing?
small. There's like...
I know, but it
I
doesn't
tried
have the
to-
racks and like the...
I tried to
Yeah.
make it as like old school, like bodybuilding
It's like
feel
super
that
dark.
is
We painted
possible.
it black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first thing we did to the house when
Yes.
we moved in.
Was
painted
it? To put the
old barn
gym in?
black. Yeah, it
In
was
the
my
pig
old
barn.
pig barn.
In the pig barn. And
Oh,
now,
you did?
Yes,
Yeah.
and now he wants pigs. So what do we do? But
Do you want pigs like you're going to be a 4-H'er again? Like those
No,
kind
like
of pigs?
I don't know. I
Just
just
for
want to
fun.
have something set up so that if anyone, like I have the opportunity to help someone
Oh,
or
got it.
someone needs a place to, because not everyone has like an insulated heated barn
Right.
with all the different things that you need in February to have, a high level livestock.
Yeah, because you were like serious 4-H'er, right? Like
Yeah,
you're kind of
Very
like the
serious.
peas. Like you sit out there and watch your animals grow.
Oh, yeah. Every night, my dad
That
and I,
sounds like
yeah,
fun.
No, this is a real thing, right?
every night, my dad and I, we'd get chores done. All the pens were cleaned, and we'd just sit out there and look at them and drink beer and,
See,
and
I
look at the
told you this
pigs.
is a thing.
Okay, so you were in 4-H, and you're sitting out there drinking beer?
Yeah, that's
No judgment. I'm just trying to keep up.
that's like how my dad and I bonded.
Hey, that's okay. That's a cool memory. I love
Yeah.
that.
So out gym. What else? What else you guys love to do?
we picked up playing tennis last summer.
Really?
We really enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you good?
No.
No.
We're really
no,
bad.
not really.
We're
Like,
really
do you
bad.
launch them like over the fence?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, you just got to turn your wrist. I'm like, turning that wrist ain't working.
Yeah.
That ball's going like a home run. Out
Yeah,
of the
so
park.
we try to play tennis. Mm-hmm. We just started hiking. Like, we like hiking now.
Yeah.
We planned a trip to Sedona a few months ago
Awesome.
and
Have
went
you been?
hiking.
No, we never really did hiking or any of that
Okay.
thing.
We just
but we were
randomly-
just looking for something new to try and
Okay.
just absolutely loved it.
Yeah. So you're gonna go to Sedona and hike out there?
Oh, we've
So what
already.
we did-
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
We did a few
went.
months ago.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we
you
booked
did?
it like
Yeah.
you were randomly looking at
Yeah.
flight tickets, and we got a really cheap ticket to fly out there from Fort Wayne, straight flight. So we were like, oh, let's try it out. We've heard it's beautiful out there. So
Yeah.
we booked a ticket and we hiked for 2 days straight or 3 days? 2 days?
2.5, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Like hiking, and then you came back though, like not backpacking
No.
where you're
No.
staying out on the mountain.
No,
Okay.
we
That would
would
be a
just
lot
hike all day, and then we
cooler,
had an
though.
Airbnb.
Okay.
But
Did you go to Slide Rock? Because that's out in Sedona, right? Isn't Slide Rock in
yes, I think it is. We've heard about it, but we
Yeah,
didn't go
we didn't
there.
go
It's
to that.
overrated.
We went to Bell
Don't
Rock.
go. I mean, it's a really beautiful place, but you seriously slide down a rock into very cold water, and your butt hurts after you're done doing it. But so are you going to get into the hiking, like
I
do
think
serious
so.
stuff?
Yeah, we want to go to Maine next.
Maine is next
so.
on our list, so
Okay.
we got to figure out when we can fit that in next.
Yeah. You should do like Glacier sometime. Like
I've
I've
heard a
seen
lot of
pictures.
great things.
Yeah, it's beautiful. there.
Glacier and Zion are on
Yeah.
the list.
Yeah.
So
That's neat,
Yeah.
especially since you guys like it together.
Yeah.
So you're not the indoor people reading books, watching TV.
I'm
No.
that too. I'm probably my favorite thing to do is watch sports. I'm kind of a sports nut.
So you don't watch anything else other
But
than
that's
sports.
all. Yeah.
Okay, so who do you like?
Purdue Boilermakers. A basketball, football fan. So I don't know what it is, but for some reason I paid them all my tuition money.
Oh, you went to Purdue.
And
so that makes
now
sense.
I continue to plan my schedule around 19-year-olds playing a game, but it's
And so you watch Purdue football too?
yeah.
Oh wow.
I do.
Okay. That's about as bad as Indiana football.
It is.
Yeah.
But not quite as bad as we
that's
found
true.
out.
That's
this year.
true. Yeah, thank you for reminding us. that Indiana continues to get beat all the time, and yeah. So, what about professional sports? Do you like any, like you NFL?
Yeah, I'm like an NFL junkie, so I don't really have a lot of like I watch all the games. Like I
So
can
you're a
sit there.
fantasy guy?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay. Is your
Yep.
fantasy team winning?
I'm in the playoffs.
Yeah,
so
me
that's
too.
all you need.
He won
is-
last year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Are you doing it too?
No.
You're not into it?
No.
Okay.
No. I'll pretend like I'm watching sometimes.
She
Football,
likes to
but-
take naps when I watch football.
Okay. Yeah, but you don't have a favorite team.
The Philadelphia Eagles have been my favorite team since I was little. I also like the Colts.
Okay.
But those are the two teams I really.
And you
follow.
don't have a favorite?
The Eagles and the Colts.
She likes
That's
it
a
when
good
I'm happy.
wife. There you go. No, that's a great wife. Yeah, you just that is good. Okay, so any books, any favorite movies? Do you have a favorite movie?
I don't have a favorite movie. I don't.
I don't watch movies. I picked up reading books a
Okay.
couple years ago. Not like every day I read.
No,
but like
right, but do you-
probably every week I probably read 3 or 4 nights a week.
Okay. So you're actually reading and not listening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the paperback or hardcover paper.
We just always bring it up because I listen to all my books, and Jennifer said it's not really reading. So
It's not.
Not really.
it's
It's funny,
how
I
is
thought-
it not? That's the thing I can't figure out. It
It's
is-
not reading. It's
Huh?
listening.
It's a book, but yeah, you're listening to it. I actually thought about that this morning. That is really weird, but
What, did you listen to books?
know that you listen to books. I don't know
Why?
what. I don't know.
Oh, I mean,
I
I
think it was just
listen
a
to
random
probably-
thought, and you're
I
talking
listen
about
to
it.
so many of them. That's the greatest thing is you can get through so many.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
so-
I would enjoy that. I don't really like reading, but I'm still trying to get into it.
Do you travel at all? Like to your job or anything you're doing?
Yeah. So I work in Carmel. So
Oh,
I drive
wow.
about an hour and 15 minutes
So you can
once or
listen
twice
to
a
a
week.
book
Yes.
all the way down and all the way back. Yeah.
Yeah, and I travel across the Midwest for my job, so I'm kind of a serial podcast consumer.
Are you really?
So it's kind of weird to be on one, I guess. But normally the people I'm listening to have done something profound in their life or like done something completely incredible.
Do you have a favorite podcast other than the Round Table?
Uh,
We just put that little self plug in there for us. Yeah.
yeah, my favorite podcast is called Modern Wisdom by Chris Williamson.
Really?
He's got, psychologists go on there, health and fitness people go on there.
Modern wisdom.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really good.
Is there something you took away from it that's like life changing?
Not necessarily. Like just a lot of the things are interesting, I guess, enough to hold my attention. Like the host is just very, very good at having really interesting guests on. Sometimes people that talk way over your head, and he can kind of deduce it down.
Okay.
And make it really consumable.
So here's a question. Since you're both workout people, you're listening to modern wisdom, right? Which is helping you, like you said, psychologists and healthy,
Yeah.
like, so are you like all healthy eaters too? So you never eat any bad food?
I mean, we eat some bad food.
If we have to.
Okay.
We really enjoy cooking.
Yeah.
So we cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner at
Okay.
home every day, unless obviously we can't. But
Okay. So do you like do all your meal prep and
we don't meal prep.
okay.
We
I
cook
mean, if we have to,
if
we
we had
will,
to.
but we prefer to cook together and just have stuff fresh.
Okay, so talk about what's the best healthy eating that you do? Like what's a meal that you go back to or meals that you go back to?
We're very plain.
Yeah.
Very basic. So
Yeah, if we could have like a lean cut of steak, a sweet potato, and a vegetable every night, then we would be good.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. A lean meat. Yeah.
a potato.
Steak
and
preferably, but
Can it be any kind of potatoes? Have to be disgusting sweet potatoes?
Can be russet potato or
Okay.
yeah,
red
we really-
potato
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get some advice because, yeah, I got blood tests done again, and they're like, you're too fat, your cholesterol's too high, your blood sugar, yeah. So, you know what he told me to do?
What?
He told me that I need to fast for 5 days,
No.
once a month. Once a month for fast for 5 days.
Consecutively?
Yes, 5 consecutive days to help reset some of that stuff.
Wow.
It's probably just the lever that he has when a pastor comes in. It's like, let's do the fasting thing. He'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
I never thought about that. Maybe he is tricking me. Yeah.
No, but there is something. I have heard a lot about fasting. That
Yes.
it is good even to fast for one meal a day or something like that. That can help you.
Is it health
metabolism.
experts
I
on
mean,
our
I
podcast?
wouldn't do it, but
Yeah.
if your
That
doctor
wouldn't be-
said to,
That wouldn't be my prescription, but I'm not a doctor.
Huh? Well, I know, but you guys have listened to Modern Wisdom, and
Yeah.
you've actually done it for a while. So fasting, intermittent fasting, how about that? That's never been in your...
no, I get too hungry.
No. No, my prescription would be focus on building muscle first and foremost, and then after that, a lot of things just come a lot easier.
After that,
The metabolism
even
and
after
everything.
you're 50, like stuff comes easier.
Yep.
All right. I don't know. I'm actually going to try it. I think I'm going to try it because
Let
it's
us
probably
know
not a
how it
bad
goes.
idea to fast anyway. You know,
Yeah.
There's
probably,
a lot of benefits.
you
to
probably
fasting.
get me to pray more. Like,
Maybe start with like 2 days.
well, I've
and then go
started
to, like-
since Sunday. So since Sunday, I've been doing one meal a day, and because I'm on the whole gallon of water thing, which is. It's getting less annoying, but in the beginning, it's all I do is pee. You know, like that's all. It's all you're doing is you get done with a meeting, you got to stop a meeting. I mean, now that's getting better, but yeah, now I'm on the one meal a day, and then my thought is next week, on Monday, I'm gonna start the 5 days no eating. So we'll see how it goes.
Good luck.
Wish you luck.
Yeah.
Might be a little grumpy. If you got a meeting with me next week, you might want to change it, right? Okay, so let's talk about your story. So, growing up, like couple significant things from both of you guys, like awesome memories from your childhood. So tell me, when I say childhood, so from when you can remember up to high school, what's something that sticks out in your mind that was like, wow, this was awesome. Love this part. We always did this. Something about
Yeah, so one thing that sticks out to me is my family would always go camping every summer, all summer long.
all summer.
All summer long.
Wow. Like every weekend, or you just went to a camping park?
We just
and
went to a camping park and we set up and we just pretty
Stayed.
much lived there all summer.
Wow. Which one?
We went to, is it Mississinawa?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I was just curious if there was one that was better. It's not like a Yogi Bear park or anything.
No.
Okay.
No, there was like nothing there. We just had to sit
What was
around
your
the
favorite
fire.
part about camping?
Just hanging out with my family,
Okay.
I would say.
So
Played
you-
cornhole and we swam a lot. And
Do you have a big family?
so I have 4 older brothers.
Wow.
So my mom had 2 boys. My dad had 2 boys before they met, and then they had me.
Okay. Yeah. So that big family.
So, yep, lots of cousins. So
Yeah.
it was my family, and then like my dad's sister and brother, and we would all camp together.
Okay. one influential person in your life growing up?
I would say my brother Casey.
Okay. For any specific reason?
He's the one that seems to have his head on straight.
So he was the one that would keep you in line?
Yeah, so when my dad passed away when I was 13, I felt like he was my go-to person.
Okay. So he became like your dad?
Yeah,
Wow.
I'd say. He's quite a bit older than me, so
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
Okay, how about you? Something significant about childhood growing up, something you loved, something you remember?
I loved showing pigs growing up, and that's a big thing around here. As something that I just loved to do with my dad. You know, when I was about 11, 12, I was kind of, you know, my mom, she loved me so much, and, you know, we spent a lot of time together. My dad wasn't super, you know, into young children. Like, that wasn't really his thing. And then I finally, you know, when I started to grow up, I was just interested in what he was doing, and that was something that he was into with my sisters. So I just
Oh, he was into the pig stuff too? Like, he loved it?
yeah. So my sisters showed pigs. They were 7 and 9 years older than me, so I kind of always watched that. And as they kind of grew up and got interested in boys and stuff, that was when I kind of came around, and it's something Dad and I really bonded over.
Right.
So, and he would just take me around, go to all his friends' houses, and
But you guys were serious 4-H'ers. See, there's like the 4-H'ers like us who it's time to take an animal, and so you go to the finish barn and you grab a pig out of the finisher, and you're like, you go out there and you show, and the judge like tells you to go into the last place pen within 2 minutes of being out there. Like, there's that kind of 4-H'er, and then there's like you guys that are going after it, right?
yeah, those were like the people that we kind of tried to keep our pigs away from, so they didn't get sick.
Yeah,
or, like,
we were the families that you're like, oh my God, stay away from the Hill family. Yeah, their pigs are terrible. So did you win anything when you were doing it? What's the best thing that you got?
We won a breed at the state fair and got to go out into the Coliseum and show in the Grand Champion Drive, which was a big deal.
That's awesome.
There, so that was like the first time I'd ever done well. So that's what really kickstarted everything.
Yeah. So is it something you're going to recreate? So you know how sometimes as kids we like grow up with something and we loved it so much we want to try to recreate it with. So if you have kids someday, do you want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to make sure that we were, you know, a team and on board with that, because it's very expensive hobby. But I'd also want the child to be into it as well. Like, that was a big part of in our family. Like, the way my dad handled things is he's like, hey, if you're into it, then we're gonna go all into it. But if you're halfway into it, then I'll get the pig out of the the finishing barn, and you can do that. Yeah.
Huh. So he kind of judged it on where you were at. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't give my kids that choice. I'm like, I guarantee you ain't going to be all in it, so I'm just going to get you the one out of the finished barn. I pre-decided for my children that they weren't ever going to really be in it. But so, most influential person for you growing up?
You know,
it could be multiple people too, like people that made a big impact on you.
Like I said, I mean, my parents were very influential, and like I said, my dad and his friends, I looked up to all of them growing up. A lot of them go to church here, but I don't know. I just felt very, seen and it felt like a big deal that you got to go around and hang out with Dad and all the guys and all that. So
yeah. I do think that is unique. Over there, like different than probably anywhere I've been. There is a group of those Wabash guys that are just like, you don't see that anywhere else. And the funny thing is, I think I'm allowed to say this, but what bonded them together before, you know what I mean? Like drinking beer and maybe too much beer and, to what bonds them together now. I think that's pretty awesome. I mean, because a lot of those guys hung out together, and not that it was terrible, but the common denominator wasn't Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where now a lot of those same guys, the common denominator of hanging out's Jesus. So
yeah, that was really strange to me. I mean, not that everyone was satanic or anything, but
No, I didn't
a lot
mean
of
it
great
that way.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, growing up, that was never like, oh, I want to go hang out with Dad and his friends and talk about Jesus. You know,
Right.
it wasn't really that way. And then as I was discovering faith later in life, and Tad and all Jay and all those guys invited me out to the Bible study. I walked in there, and it was just a really strange feeling, because I was there when, well, I think I was pretty small, but Dad helped build the Tad's shop out there. And
Right.
just through all the years, it was kind of a weird feeling to be
walk
showing
back
up
into that
and-
shop and
yeah.
having a small group in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's completely different.
And that was, probably the only reason why I even went, was because all those people had invested in me in my life, and my dad had invested in me in my life, and they had just built up a lot of equity.
Right. And I think
and-
that's a great point. So I want to make sure I clarify this. I mean, they're great people. I didn't mean it like bad that they were, those guys are people who choose to invest a lot, into other people. And like you said, build up equity. And I don't even think at the time they're thinking, oh, I'm going to go build up this equity so someday I can share Jesus. Like, I just think there was something in them. They'd just be like, I think I need to invest into the younger generation. And I think we need to care about them and, help them out. And then later on in life, that equity comes back, for those opportunities. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, my God. Okay, so let's talk about growing up. So Paige, talk about growing up. Grow up in a church, not in a church, because both of you today, giving your life to Christ, both been baptized, right? Because you guys both got baptized in Noblesville, didn't you?
We did.
Yeah,
We did.
that's
Yeah.
In January.
Yeah, that's so cool. But anyway, so living out your faith, going down that road. But tell us, is that how you grew up? How did that story go for you?
Yeah, so I didn't grow up in a church at all. I don't think my family ever went to church together. I don't have any memory of that. Like I said, my dad passed away when I was 13. My mom tried going to church.
How was that? I say how was that? But I mean, how much did that influence your life at the time?
A lot.
Yeah.
I kind of sheltered myself for a while once my
Okay.
dad passed away. I didn't really talk to anyone, I was kind of, looking back now, I realized I was probably a little depressed. I would go to school, come home, and just sit in my room all day. Luckily, I had a lot of friends that would come over to my house and, try to hang out with me and stuff. But, it was really hard.
Right.
I feel like I've kind of blocked a lot of that memory out,
Yeah.
though, because I have a hard time remembering that time in my life.
Right.
It was really hard. My mom, she pretty much was a stay-at-home mom, and then my dad passed away, and we lost our house, and she was a bartender, started bartending, so I didn't get to see a lot of her, so I was home quite a bit by myself at that age. And then, like I said, she wanted to go to church, but we never ended up going. She would take me to kids groups and stuff and drop me off, but I didn't really like that because we weren't doing it together. And I didn't really know anyone. I felt very weird about it. So my faith didn't really start growing until, like I said, Cale's dad passed away. I feel like our journey kind of started together.
How did you guys meet? I guess we never got into that. So you guys high school sweethearts?
Yeah, we
Middle
started,
school sweethearts,
Yeah,
elementary
so
school?
Middle
I'm-
school for her.
Because there's a lot of difference in age?
2 years.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, so we started dating when I was 14.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
you're
16.
16. So I was going into my freshman year of high school.
Wow.
So been through a lot together.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
you've been together that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, she came and my family kind of welcomed her in. And
Yeah, his
she's
dad was
been-
really special to me because I felt like he kind of filled a void in my heart. So I
Right.
kind of looked at him as my dad too,
Right. Yeah, so talk about your journey, Cale.
Yeah, so I grew up and both my parents were believers. It wasn't something that was ever really talked about in our house. Mom would always try to get me to go to church. Dad didn't go to church and wasn't really interested, which I kind of was like, well, if Dad's not going to church, why would I want to go to church? I want to, I want to hang out with Dad,
Right.
and not that I don't mean to say that as he was being a bad influence or anything.
Oh,
but
no,
it just
no.
was a season that he was away from the church, I guess.
Right.
So I was just really never really interested. Like I said, my mom would take me a few times. I didn't really feel like I fit in with the kids in the kids groups and things, and I would, I wanted to be the cool kid, and the cool, you don't think that the cool kids are the kids that are in going to church groups. I was more interested in the more rebellious things, and my two older sisters both turned out perfectly. They were both like top 10 in their class. One, they were both believers. One literally said the prayer at her graduation commencement.
Okay.
And then I come around, and I was just wanting to be the opposite of everything that, it's just that opposite of that path. It just wasn't very enticing to me.
Right.
And I think I attribute a lot of that to just, I think I was worshiping things of the world. So I was super into sports. I loved football. I loved showing animals as I got older. I loved drinking. And all those things were really distractions for me.
Right. And did you, like, in this process, because I'm trying to put your story and your dad's story a little bit together, because, I mean, I don't remember what the time frame was, but, I mean, your dad had been away from the church for a while, right? And then he gets involved, but I mean, like, at least listening from Tad's perspective,
Yeah.
I just got to know your dad, but from Tad's perspective, it was like, wow, like, this is a big switch.
Yeah.
For your dad.
I mean, it wasn't even something that we talked about, and we talked about everything. And it just really never came up. It wasn't a part of our lives as a family. And I guess as far as you mentioning him coming to church here, I moved off to college, and when they had been empty nesters, that was kind of around the time period that mom and dad started coming here.
Okay.
So I was kind of off in my own world,
Right.
chasing all the things of college and everything a large campus has to offer.
Right. So talk about, like, both of you at pretty significant times in your life lost somebody that you love. So how did that, I mean, for you said you've blocked out maybe a lot of those times, but then even, for Cale's dad with Troy, like, you were close to him. So how did that go when it comes to faith and losing someone? Like, because at this point you're still not, at a place where you're like super on fire for Christ at all, when your dad gets sick and, you find out that, like, it's maybe not going to go the way it's supposed to go. That have any effect on, like, did you ever get mad? Did you ever wonder why? Like, in all of those, did those things ever go through your head? I'm just wondering how you process the whole losing someone in your life that you love.
Can I take this one?
Yep, you can. I knew you were wanting to, so go ahead.
So when I graduated college, like I said, I moved off to Idaho, and I wanted to be anywhere but my hometown. I was like, get me out of here. I'm gonna go do something awesome with my life, or whatever that meant.
Right.
As an
And
18-year-old.
there ain't nothing awesome happening in Wabash.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so I had it all. I wanted to go out there, climb the corporate ladder, maybe come back and visit 2 or 3 times a year, especially the lake house. But I kind of had that all mapped out, and then when Dad got sick, it kind of really rocked my world, because he gets sick, and I get there the night before he passes, and then he passes away, and that same day I got a phone call that I didn't answer because I had my phone off because I didn't want to talk to anybody. It was actually my old boss who his wife then calls Paige and says, hey, we got a job opening within the same company for what you want to do.
Right in Wabash.
Yeah, it's in Wabash, Indiana. And they didn't even know I was from Wabash, Indiana.
Really?
So my mom was really struggling at the time. I was really struggling at the time. Didn't really know what to make of the whole situation. So I said, yeah, I'll take it. I'll move back. I moved back that January and lived back with Mom in my childhood home.
Right, right.
And that was where, everything changed for me, because I had all these plans and dreams for my life. And then, I'm 19, 20 years old, or no, 22 years old.
Right.
And I'm in my childhood bedroom and nothing makes sense.
Right.
So
yeah. So can you talk? I mean, I don't know how much you want to elaborate on that, but I mean, the whole, because whether it's through the loss of a parent or something else going on in a person's life, there is this sense of confusion, right? For a lot of young people on, I had a plan. This isn't where I wanted to be. This isn't how things are. So can you talk through how you worked through some of that confusion?
Yeah.
Who helped you walk through? I'm sure Paige was a part of, helping through some of that process, how you guys did it together as a team.
Yeah, and I guess one part I didn't want to leave out was that a couple of weeks before Dad got put on hospice, I had flown back just to spend some time, and Dad was in the hospital, and that was our last coherent conversation together. So he, could still completely carry on a conversation. We talked for an hour and a half, and towards the end, he's like, "Hey, I just want you to know." I was telling him, I was like, just where I was at, just pouring it all out there. We talked about everything, and he's like, "I'm not worried about where I'm going." He's like, "What I'm worried about is you." And
Whoa.
he's like, I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "You don't know Jesus," and he's like, "That's what I'm worried about." He's like, not worried about myself.
Wow.
And I made a promise. I said, I'm not going to guarantee you that, this is the road I'm going to go down, but I promised him that I would give it a chance.
That right there, that's just so, for a couple different reasons. One, what I would think, you're a thinker. In my mind, that's how I envision you. You're a person that's not just going to be like, oh yeah, Dad, you don't think I know Jesus? I'll see you again. You're serious. I'm going to think about it. It's not just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to start going to church because you're processing some of those things, in your life. And is that part of what led to the confusion too?
Yeah,
You're at a place where your dad's saying, hey, I'm going to read into it, but what I hear? This is one of your most influential people, somebody you spent all this time with, and his last words to you are like, I might not see you again.
Yeah.
I'm going to the right place, and great job, Troy. That takes some courage to sit there and look your kids in the eyes and say, some of your last words are going to be like, hey, I love you, but you might not be in the right place.
Yeah, that was the first time we'd ever talked about faith.
Oh,
So
yeah, amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a very introspective person, probably to a fault, but and a lot of that goes back to I drank a lot, so that kind of numbed a lot of that. And then when I kind of slowly started drinking less and less, my mind just was coming back to life.
Right.
Which is part of the reason why I don't drink often anymore. But that really was just a time period where I just had to spend a lot of time with myself. I had to spend a lot of time. So,
So can
Mom
you
was
talk-
watching
oh,
church.
sorry.
Oh no,
No, go
Mom
ahead.
would watch church online because she didn't want to be
Yeah.
in public. Didn't want to have to deal with people. So I started watching with her, kind of okay, I'm giving it a try. And for a while, it just wasn't quite sticking. I had, all the all the normal things that, like, you know, there's different cultures and different people, and they all kind of think differently. Why, you know, is this the exact way to think about that? I don't know. I had
what makes it right.
Yeah, every different thing. And I was just going along my journey and, you know, reading a lot of self-help books and different things, and nothing was helping, and I was just getting more anxious and more depressed. And then I finally I go back into my, you know, I finally just go back into my childhood bedroom again, and opened up Matthew chapter 1 and started reading, and it, you know, read through each gospel 3 or 4 times, and within that same week I was on my knees and in that same bedroom, and I was reborn that day.
Wow. That's just awesome. So talk about in the journey. So you get to the place where you make a decision for Christ, right? And you guys are on this journey together. Can you talk about some of the things that you worked through? Like, what are some things that needed to be cleared up? And that, I don't only say this because there are people out there that are watching and listening that might not be at a place where maybe they're still asking questions, right? Still navigating or processing. Can you talk through maybe some of the stuff that you had to get to the place of, like, okay, I'm going to surrender my life? And that's for either one of you guys. Is that a confusing question?
No, that. Do you
Go
want
ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, I've
No,
been
go
all
ahead.
talking. I think for me, I never really understood that I needed a savior. Like, I didn't know what I needed saved from. You know, I didn't understand, like, I don't know how to say it, but, you know, don't go to hell that didn't compel me in any way, because I'd never thought about death. I had never thought about, you know, anything but what was right in front of me.
Right.
And part of it too, like, I kind of keep saying this, but when I kind of quit drinking and cleared up my head, you know, you realize how messed up you are, and how just, like, you've gone off the path. Like, where am I heading, you know?
Right.
And just reading through scriptures, and as I was kind of figuring things out, I was like, I'm not, you know, I haven't lived my life according to this. And I was like, whether this is, you know, where I need to give my life to or not, I know that, you know, these are practical. I was an agnostic, I guess. So I knew that the Bible was, like, good practical teachings.
Yeah, it's a good another self-help book. Right.
Yeah, just an ancient one.
Right.
I don't even know if I answered your question, but those are just some of the thoughts that.
And again, because I think for everybody, there's this process that you go through. And I think it is interesting, and maybe you guys can talk on this, but so you're talking about alcohol being something that just, like, muddies the mind. But I think that's the other part of it. Like, part of Satan's ploy is to keep your mind distracted in lots of different ways. And it's not always just alcohol. I mean, your phone and TV, like, there's a new way of keeping your mind unclear, you know, because, you know, that's what you're talking about. Coming to a place of clarity, like getting to a place where you can think through, you know, those types of things, and or talk through or think through the idea of what is going to motivate me. And for you, it was the settling on the knowledge that it's true. Like, I do need a savior, and I do believe that this is true. And so I need to make this, you know, decision.
Yeah. And I kind of alluded to it, but I literally was at the point where, like, nothing else, like, I tried everything else, like, nothing was working. And I was just kind of like, like, Jesus, you have me. Like, this is my last.
And you say
resort.
nothing's working because you were depressed. I mean, what were you trying to fix?
I was just super anxious.
Okay.
I couldn't make sense of what was happening in my life. It just was not it wasn't what I planned.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand what, you know, did my dad just go into dust? Like, is this it? Like, my family is, you know, torn to pieces, and and I, was just not seeing a lot of purpose and meaning to anything.
Yeah.
So that was I was searching for that.
Right. And that point you hadn't found anything, and then the gospel is
No,
yeah.
I mean, I gave everything into working out, and I, could never get big enough or, ripped enough. And then I tried to put just different things, and it was just very unfulfilling.
Right. So Paige, can you talk about your side of walking that journey with that? Because you guys talked about you guys doing it together. Mm-hmm. Walking. So were you both searching together? Like, can you tell us a little bit about your side of it?
I feel like as Cale was going through his journey, it made me more curious. So, I mean, through conversations and reading the Bible together and just like his insight and just him just being open and like explaining the Bible to me more, because I feel like he gets a lot more out of the Bible than I do.
Yeah.
And sometimes I need him to like walk
Yeah.
me through it. But
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like for you, it was when Dad died and I was going through all that, it was like you almost it was almost forced you to unpack and face a lot of things that you had been holding in.
Mm-hmm.
So were you searching at the same time too? Like, was some of those same, like, were both of you at a place of like, oh, like this opened up I don't say a can of worms. I don't know if that's the right word, but it just opened up things that you never had thought through before?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because going back, it never came up in a conversation.
Right.
I mean, we've
Like-
never talked about Jesus before.
Right.
We've never read the Bible. We never had gone to church together before. I mean, your dad invited us to Eve service here one year, and we came. But that was the only time that we had been to church together. So our lives, our relationship has completely changed since Troy passed away and since we've started searching and growing our faith.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because now you guys are married, both giving your life to Christ. Now you're trying to figure out, hey, we're married, trying to live for God, trying to figure out what he wants you to do with life. So can you guys talk a little bit about where you are in your journey now when it comes to marriage and how faith fits into it, or, just the things, because didn't you guys take one of the Grow Night classes? No?
We did premarital counseling with
Right, right. Yeah, I just didn't know if there was one other. Yeah. So can you talk about your journey of now that you've given your life to Christ, now that you're married, like what are some things that you can give as advice to young couples who are, trying to figure out what it looks like to live for God and live together, on purpose inside of your marriage? So can you give any insight, to...
Go ahead.
Well, I guess starting from the beginning.
No, I
feel
just
like
know
keep
you have
taking
so
up.
much to talk about.
I mean, from the beginning, we were new in faith. I gave my life to Christ when we were the summer before we got married.
Right.
So everything was still pretty new, and things were changing so fast. But we just talked about it every day. We read, we do the same Bible reading plan every day.
So do you guys do it together, or do you guys do it separately and then talk about it?
We do it separately and then talk about it.
Okay.
I feel like we find ourselves every night at dinner talking about Jesus or
Yeah.
what we read or
Two things we talk about the most are, when we die, and about our death, and about whatever we're kind of gnawing on,
Right.
whether it be theologically or just in life.
Right.
So
is that something that you guys do intentionally, or is it just something that comes up?
I feel like it just comes up.
yeah, I feel like, one of the things I was struggling with at first was I gave my life to Christ. I have to I have to hear from him every day. And what do I do next? Do I need to go, get on a plane and go to some, third world country?
Right.
I don't know. What
Right.
am I supposed to do? And it just started with okay. And this was something that some people had helped me with at the church in Noblesville. They're like, well, how about you start with your marriage?
Oh.
And so that's kind of was my idea, was we'll start here, and make Jesus the center of our marriage. And since we've been going through a lot of this together, we've had some of the same questions. We've been at a similar place in our journey, and it's really helped us as we walk through that. But I don't feel like anything that we do is like, well, I think we should be doing this. The only thing was we started praying every day together, and that was like,
So
it took
actually,
a while.
you're together and you pray, like pray
Like,
together
out
Really?
loud, and it was like
Yeah.
the most awkward,
It was
weird
so
thing
awkward.
when it started. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Do you mind if we talk about like when that started? Like one night,
Go ahead.
there was a night that Cale was just struggling, and he had a panic attack, and I was freaking out because I had never seen him have that before, and he was just like, "Can you pray for me?" And I was like, "Oh boy!" Like I've never prayed out
Yeah,
loud
you're
before.
like-
But
you're like,
I'm like, I have to
gulp.
pray for him, and I have to pray with him. So I just prayed, and then ever since, we pray together every single day.
That is
Yeah.
awesome.
It was just so awkward at first. I mean, going to church was awkward at first. I mean, because
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just the weirdest thing, saying a prayer out loud
Right.
to, someone that's not with like physically there.
Right.
And I had always looked at those people as like, they're just trying to sound, fancy, and they want donations or whatever.
But yeah,
those people that want my money, those suckers.
but now praying is just part of our routine, and if we don't pray together every single day, it feels like our day's not complete.
Wow.
At least on my end, that's how I feel.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like Jesus literally came and did everything Jesus did, and it was weird for us to pray. Like,
Yeah.
are you like?
No,
it was
I know,
ridiculous
but
to
I
me.
think this, but I think there's this reality. Like we think sometimes in the Christian world, everything's just natural, right? Like you grew up around it and you saw people doing it all the time. And so it's just going to naturally go into your marriage and just naturally go into your life, but it just doesn't, those things don't just naturally happen, So I think it's cool that you guys have developed something that you can do together, right? With that. So when you do it, like, do you decide like, hey, we're going to pray for certain people, or is it just like, hey, whatever randomly?
Whatever's on our heart. We take turns every day. One of us will pray.
Wow. Yeah. So if you guys were going to give some advice, because we're getting close to, if you can imagine, we're almost to an hour already. So if you guys could give some advice to people that are searching, first of all, so people that didn't grow up around it, or people that were at a place that they're exploring faith, could you give some advice to them on where to go, what to look for, how to help them in their search? Like some things that helped you?
Surrounding yourself with people that have faith and that are genuine.
I think
For
that's
me-
good. That concept right there, I'd never even thought about that part of it. I was, but the idea that if you're searching, find the people that have found it, right? Like be around those people.
For me, I think the thing that was the most helpful for me was just like put away all like distractions. Anything that's clouding your mind, and whatever you need to do to get to that place, and literally just open Matthew chapter 1 and be open and willing to hear what it has to say to you, because it's a profound story, and one that, it's funny because I would when I was kind of searching, I would be in men's group or church or whatever, and you know how when you're giving a message, you'll say, "Now we can all at least agree on this, right?" Like
You're like, "No, I don't
and I would
agree."
be like looking around, like, no idea what he's talking about, but
Yeah.
maybe I should. But yeah, just to give let the gospel, just give the gospel a chance, and I think that's how God really wants to speak to us. But I think the hard part is getting to that place where your mind is not clouded, you are completely open, and just to that point where you're willing to give it a chance, because the distractions are just endless.
Yeah. So can you talk about individually and maybe collectively as we end up like how do you want God to use you moving forward? I mean, you're a great young couple that, I mean, got a lot going for you. I mean, do you have any specific ways where you're saying like, God, hope you can use me in this way, or maybe to you guys together as a couple?
I hope that we can just reach more couples or people our age that are searching, maybe a little confused, but I just hope that our story can help them in some way.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I just think that. Sorry, can you repeat the
Yeah,
question?
so whether it's you individually, because the idea always is we're trying to, you said it earlier, like we're trying to hear what God wants. You know, you were like, hey, I'm afraid he might put me on a plane and ship me over to wherever, right? But we're always trying to hear what God has to say so that we can be an influence. So whether it's you individually or whether it's you guys collectively as a couple. And so Paige was saying, like, you guys as example, hopefully will be an example to other couples, which will give them a chance. And because you're going to have the influence in that generation to invite them to church, to invite them to men's group or women's group, whatever that is.
So I got my train of thought back.
Okay.
But that make kind of the season of life that we're in. So we just moved back here from Noblesville, and a few months ago. But what we're trying to figure out is like, and this is another topic that comes up a lot, is like, how are we going to organize our life and set up disciplines in our daily life that is the best way to serve Christ. And we're just still trying to figure that out. And and maybe I overthink it like I do everything, but it's like, I need to be with people that are, on fire for Jesus and are mature in their faith. But I also need to be with people that don't know Jesus, and I need to be with people that need encouragement. And like, how do I get the right balance of all these people in my life and still pour into my wife? And just how is this all gonna work for me and us? And that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where does it stop? I mean, Jennifer, we've had this discussion all the time. Like, ministry never stops, right? So you're trying to figure out where you invest yourself wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's really difficult. So, but yeah, you guys have a lot going for you. So I think you'll do well trying to figure that balance out.
All right. So any last words of wisdom before we sign off? Eat well, work out, love Jesus, and reach people.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's good. Yep.
You got it.
Summing it all up. All right, Jennifer, you want to?
Yeah. Well, I just want to tell them I just really enjoyed meeting you both today and your story, and just, where you're at as a young couple. It's encouraging. So just keep doing what you're doing, because I think you're wise beyond your years. I think a lot of people need to surround themselves with you both, because I think you could change a lot in this world. So yeah, you spoke to my heart today. So I just Yeah,
when I told him last night, at the men's group, I'm like, that they were going to be on, because that's the first thing that I thought of when I saw their name on the list. I'm like, you guys' story, and not only your story, your passion to continually figure it out. I think you guys are going to change the world.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I think that, and again, I'm not even saying it has to be this huge, profound thing. I just think your approach, the way that you guys have approached this process and the transformation that God has had, and then, I think you have great influence. I mean, I think you guys are influencers. I think you have, I just think you have great opportunities. And it did. I thought the same thing. Just gives me hope for the younger generation, because it's hard to find young people on fire and passionate and wanting to head in that direction. So I'm super proud of you. I think it's awesome.
Well, thank you.
for
We've
sure.
been praying for an opportunity to share our story and to be more bold in our faith, and we definitely appreciated the invitation to come on here.
Yeah, I love it.
It's great.
All right,
Yep.
you want to send us out, Jennifer?
So if you're not part of our podcast community, you can text the word podcast to 260-408-8383. And if I do what I'm supposed to be doing, I'll let you know when the podcast drops. I'm kind of a slacker. But anyways, I have good intentions anyways. But if you know someone who wants to be on the podcast, or you yourself, or you have a topic you want us to talk about, you can send us a message.
Yeah. And so when this will go out tomorrow.
Yes.
Something. Yeah.
Yes,
So when this
so.
drops, so if you're watching, listening, whatever. So we want to make sure that if you see this on Facebook, make sure that you share or like it, because that gives us an opportunity to be able to get you guys' story out on other people's feeds, and they have an opportunity to go to it. And make sure if you're on our YouTube, comment, whatever that looks like. We'd love for you guys to be able to hear feedback. And are you guys second service or first service people?
First service.
First service people. So if you get an opportunity, if you are a first service person, or if it's like this week and I talk too long, first service people and second service people are crossing over. But anyway, make sure you come up and see, come up and say hi to them, get to know them. Great young couple. And we're just like super excited on what God's going to do. So again, thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.